For 7.5, we're going to be looking at complex fractions. And what we mean with the complex fractions is we're going to have a big fraction, but on top is a fraction, and at the bottom is another fraction. So we're going to have a fraction over a fraction. Let's take a look. We're going to have two ways of how to solve this. The first thing I'm going to be doing is looking at the two fractions on the top. I'm going to make it into just one fraction. I need a common denominator to add. So I'm going to say I want to convert them into 9. The least common denominator is 9. I'm not going to do anything to my second fraction. So again, my least common denominator is 9. I'm not doing anything to the 5 over 9. But for the first fraction, I'm going to multiply the top by 3. So I'm going to have 6 plus 5 over 9. Once again, I'm just looking at the two fractions on the top. And that is 11 over 9. Right? I simplify my fractions into just one. I'm going to do the same for the bottom. I see that my common denominator, my least common denominator, will be 12, right? The smallest number that 4 and 12 go into is 12. For my first fraction, I'm going to multiply this by 3. I'm not going to do anything to the second fraction. So I have 3 plus 1. Remember, I multiply 1 times 3 on the first fraction. So I have 3 plus 1, which is 4 over 12, which is also known as 1 over 3. Okay, so I have a fraction over a fraction. Now, what we're going to do when we have a fraction over a fraction, since a fraction means division, I'm going to do the top fraction divided by the bottom fraction. So I'm going to go 11 over 9, but instead of saying divide by 1/3, I'm going to say multiplied by 3 over 1. Because remember, when we divide a fraction, we multiply by the reciprocal of the second fraction. All right, so 11 over 9 times 3 over 1. I can simplify the 3 and the 9 as 1 and 3. Now, when I multiply straight, I'm going to get 11 over 3. In this example, the top is already simplified. The bottom is already simplified to just one fraction. So I'm just going to go xp over, as a matter of fact, my q to the third, I'm going to do q times q times q. I'm going to split them. And I'm going to say this is times q times x over p times p. Once again, I do my first fraction divided by the second fraction, or the first fraction times the reciprocal of the second. The reason why I split my exponents, because I can see when I cancel this q with this q, when I cancel this p with this p, I cannot cancel out the x's because they're both on top. I can cancel them as long as one of them is on top, one of them is at the bottom. So on the top, I have an x to the third. At the bottom, I have q squared times p. Now looking at this one, we can say my denominator is 1. So I'm going to make those two fractions into just one fraction. And I'm going to say my least common denominator will be x plus 2. Okay, so in the first fraction, I'm not going to do anything because I already have the least common denominator. On the second fraction, I'm going to multiply it by x plus 2. So on the top, I just have a 3 minus 4x minus 8. Keep in mind, I'm calling this a negative 4, and I distribute the negative 4. That's how I came out with minus 4x minus 8. All right, so now this can be simplified to negative 4x minus 5 over x plus 2. I just combine my like terms on the top. So the top, it is already one fraction. Now let me take a look at the bottom fractions. I'm going to say my least common denominator is x plus 2. I'm not doing anything to my first fraction, so I'm leaving the 2 alone. The second fraction, I'm going to multiply it by x plus 2. So I'm going to have 2 plus x plus 2. I distribute this 1. So I'm going to call this x plus 4 over x plus 2. Once again, I have one fraction over another fraction, so I'm just going to say negative 4x minus 5 over x plus 2 times x plus 2 over x plus 4. This x plus 2 with this x plus 2 cancel out. So I have negative 4x minus 5 over x plus 4. I'm not going to be able to cancel anything else, so that's pretty much it. So method 1 says simplify the fractions on the top, simplify the fractions at the bottom, and then just you're dividing two fractions. Now we're going to see what we call method 2. Method 2 says we have denominators and we don't want to deal with denominators. We don't want to deal with fractions. So looking at my denominators, so I'm talking about 3, 9, 4, and 12. And then I ask myself, what's the least common denominator? What's the smallest number that all of them will go into? In this case, it's 36. So now that we know that's the least common denominator, I'm going to multiply everything by 36. Method 2, what it's going to do is going to get rid of fractions. Okay, well, at least fractions on top and fractions at the bottom. When we have a whole number in a fraction, we multiply to the number on the top, and then we divide with the number at the bottom. It doesn't matter we do the times first or we do the division first. I'm going to divide. 36 divided by 3, that's 12. And then my result, I'm going to multiply to the top number. So 12 times 2, that gives me 24 on top. And I have a plus sign. Here I'm going to go 36 divided by 9. That's 4. Multiply it to the number on the top. So I get a 20. On my bottom fraction, I'm going to go 36 divided by 4. That's 9. 9 times the top gives me 9. There's my plus sign. 36 divided by 12, that's 3 times my top number. So at least I got rid of fractions on the top. I got rid of fractions at the bottom. The top, 24 plus 20, we're going to call this 44. The bottom, 9 plus 3, we're going to call that 12. Then simplify this as much as we can, and I'm going to end up calling this 11 over 3. Looking at this other one, looking at my denominators, 3, 4, 9, and 2, and I ask myself, which one's the least common denominator? Which one's the smallest number they all go into? And I'm going to have to say 36 as well. Okay, so multiplied everything by 36. Remember, I'm going to do my division first. 36 divided by 3, that's 12, times the number on top. Minus 36 divided by 4 is 9, times the number on top, over 36 divided by 9 is 4, times the number on top. 36 divided by 2 is 18, times the number on top. 24 minus 9, I get 15. 16 plus 18, I get 34. Simplify if you can. In this case, we cannot. So that's it. I will have a part 2 to this video.